onto the canvas. I want them. I don't mind at all if they look slightly maladroit or a bit gauche, but they're not deliberately done that way either.
Yeah.
They're just in that awkward area.
Because I was going to say, like, it wouldn't bother you too much if it comes off kind of looking outsider art.
Totally. Oh, that's the name reflects that as well.
Yeah.
It's all these little layers to and none of that was preconceived. It just happens that works anyway. That works because you're outside the empire of what's considered hip and cool.
Yeah. Like
a barbarian is someone who's just uncouth.
Yeah.
Not uncivilized. Just a different. It's not that they're they're uncouth. They're unmannered. They're not.
A great podcast. A series of 4 1-hour history things on Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And they just fucking rocked Europe because they were so.
Yeah. Well, there was a really good BBC series with Waldemar Januszak.
Yeah.
Did on really good. And
it
was watching stuff like that around the time when I was coming up.
They just came from an area that was so shit.
Yeah.
The steppe.
Yeah.
That it was in Eurasia. Is that called Eurasia?
Yeah.
And it was just so hard to live there.
Yeah.
That when horses came along and they domesticated horses,
mobility,
and then they had transport, they just fucking ran.
But the thing, mobility was the key.
Yeah.
And fecundity in terms of like they were much less moribund than the empire.
They milled through Europe because everybody got soft,
like, you know. Yeah, exactly.
And they absolutely fucking destroyed the place.
Yeah,
they fucking destroyed Russia. They kicked the shit out of Georgia. Like they were just small teams of them.
Totally.
Defeating big citadels, like and stuff.
But it's like that all that Deleuze and Guattari stuff about mobility over sedentary kind of practices, and it all reflects in that as well. And all this highbrow highfalutin stuff is all great to be able to attach to a painting of Black Sabbath album cover, I think is, and to then have like cover versions or sections of Monet's Water Lilies, rolling that all into this one kind of persona. And by the way, I just like the way the word looks and kind of sounds and everything. The whole thing suits, block capitals. But you put it on a t-shirt, like a heavy metal t-shirt. But it's kind of
a deliberate roughness. That Monet thing there kind of, it kind of bridges the gap between your oil painting and
exactly.
stuff.
And then there's other ones, Iggy Pop. And
see, like that Iggy Pop one.
His head is quite small, but it still works.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's very outsider art.
Yeah.
Do you know this phenomena of people putting up drawings on the internet where they got the drawing wrong?
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Yeah, I know, there's a wrongness to it.
That's deliberate.
And then I can't help but say, this section here reminds me a lot of Huey O'Donoghue and stuff.
Yeah.
And then but his head is really small. But it works, as it was all done in one flow, and I didn't want to fix it up too much.
And the other aspect is,
I didn't want to refine it.
The outsider art aspect of it's deliberate. It's also not deliberate.
Yeah.
There's no point in hiding behind, it was meant to be like that.
Yeah.
It's also by way of the process that you will deliberately set yourself up to fail, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Almost. So that there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah, and there's a nakedness to it.
Yeah.
Ironic or paradoxically, the fact that I'm putting my stuff out under a pseudonym, there's more of an openness and nakedness.
Well, it's kind of like taking your Mickey out and going, look, you've seen everything now. You can't get any worse than this. Yeah. So now I'm free to do everything I do from this point on.
No, but it completely frees me up in the Leviathan project. Anything I might have felt like doing, as that doesn't really fit into what I might have limited myself, but I haven't completely, because you divide your empire into two, and you have the barbarian side of it. It's a catch-all. Literally anything I want to do can go under that name, and then the more specific project, which is very broad in itself, but it is specific, will be under the Brian Hannigan name. And I'm really happy with that.
I'm glad that you brought up the Leviathan thing, because let's go back to, you're in Dublin, you have the occasional shitty fucking studio you try to get to, and because I was the same way, you try to get to do a bit of work, you're working shitty fucking jobs here and there, and crewing on gigs, there's a strange crowd of people that you end up hanging out with them, like, you know. It's a real kind of motley collection of people, But flash forward. That's grand. I'm going to change it now.
Is that one after tipping down?
Yeah, it doesn't matter because I have to change the battery.
Yeah, I suppose.
But wait now. Flash forward. A few years, and you've moved to Newbridge. You've got this huge fucking studio.
Yeah,
it's fucking beautiful, and you're doing shitloads of work. And the Leviathan series has it's become a kind of it's reaching its peak almost at the same time as the studio, and you're getting to do painting full time.
Yeah. Basically. Well, that didn't reach it. So that was only that was only starting.
Well, it was starting when you were in Intercore.
Yeah, that was the kind of seeds of
Explain to me, because when I pictured this video, I pictured us talking about Leviathan.
Yeah. I mean, that would probably fizzle out. I know, so something occurred to me. The idea of a whale came back to me time and time again. It's like, what could be a better?
There wasn't a single instance that you watched. No. It wasn't like you saw a documentary on the dissection of a whale and went,
no, that came after. The painting behind you against the wall as a whale, which I still haven't finished that painting. I might never finish it. I'll come back to it.
But the idea of a whale kept coming to your work.
Yeah, I think I consciously picked that because I thought, it really is a classic thing. It's a classic in Western culture, I think even in other cultures, as an image of a massive beast, very mysterious and huge thing. It's big, it's mysterious, it's all these things.
And then did you go looking for footage of...
I went looking, I just looked for images of whales to see what I could use, and I wanted... Something in this, at the very start I thought this was going to be a relatively quick and large and fun piece, and it might just be a complete one-off, and it is a complete one-off, and it's in another totally transitional stage at the moment. And I would just throw anything I wanted into this fantastical image, to basically do completely the opposite, I thought, of what I had been doing. And like a very, very made up imaginary kind of scene. So I had this idea of starting a whale floating in a forest. I thought that was kind of silly enough to be fun to do. And I still took a lot of photographic sources, like the pictures of the trees was from photos I took of myself in France. The image of it is a sperm whale. That was just from Google Images. The images of the figure, some of them are from photos a friend of mine took at a Jesus Lizard gig, and the one in the middle is a picture of a guy I know that I took in France as well, and then the rest of it, some of it was taken from video stills.
Who's the guy? Is it Poggy?
No, that's Lenny.
Lenny.
Phil Donnelly. Lenny.
And here, was it one of these things where the universe kept presenting images of whales to you in your waking life?
I don't know. I think it was a conscious thing. I said I want, but then of course you start. Yeah, you start coming to you. I think it started. I don't know. I wouldn't say it came to me in a dream or anything like that. I think it was more of a conscious thing. I was casting around for a subject, like an image.
But you got some fairly cool. Like, I mean, you had some really amazing documentaries of.
Yeah, there's the one that I'm still using, obviously, which has become the primary source. So once I had this idea of like, I want to do a project based on whale as a central image. And I was influenced by the Cremaster cycle.
I was going to say Matthew Barney
as well. Like because he seems to he picks large nodal points. There can either be a location, a place that suggests imagery to him, or a person, or a story, any of these things, and he rolls them on and makes films, and that's a whole other. So I was waiting I picked that one to start with and saw, what else, where's this going to go? Okay, am I just going to paint, am I just going to turn into some kind of folk artist who just does paintings of whales obsessively? So I didn't want to do that either. So anyway, I stumbled upon this, the Channel 4 documentary, Inside Nature's Giants, and a whale. I had heard of that whale that washed up on the beach in West Cork. I just heard it on the radio one day.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, geez, that would be great to see. Because I'd been casting around for whale imagery or some kind of structure of a project based on that. And I said, that sounds deadly. It'd be great to get down there and see it. And then it came and went. And then a few months later, of course, this program came on, and it was that. It was I saw, this is gold. There's got to be loads of material here, like with still images from this.
And one thing that we kind of avoided mentioning was this way of taking images from television screens.
Yeah.
Which was central to both our...
Totally. So I found a way, I suppose, I was making a big break from what I was doing by wanting to take on a large project. But I still said I could still use what I've learned in terms of that. In terms of sourcing images and stuff. I didn't want to throw everything out.
Yeah.
I wasn't like going to throw everything out. I'm going to go back to I'm going to become that de Kooning painter that I always wanted to be years ago, or Francis Bacon. But I wasn't trying to do something as dramatic as that. I wanted a significant shift, but I still wanted to use what I had.
Yeah.
So take this, and I knew I was going to be looser. Probably wasn't going to use projectors or anything anymore. I was still going to use photographic sources. Because basically, if you are going to decide to paint whales, you can't exactly just wait. If you're living in Kildare, you can't exactly just wait for one to beach up.
Yeah.
They do beach up regularly, but still,
you couldn't do anything as radical as actually go down to court.
No.
And, see that?
No.
But here,
no.
So there's the obvious thing. The whale is the whale in Moby Dick.
It obviously relates to that.
It's your subconscious.
Yeah, there's all of that is wrapped into it.
And this is really important to me, is the idea of Leviathan is something that's too big to comprehend.
Yeah.
So it becomes it's a thing, as a philosophical conceit of the thing, the unknowable, right in front of you.
Absolutely.
No way of translating it into language.
Absolutely.
And that's what a painting is.
Yeah, is
that how you feel?
And that's what painting is.
Yeah.
And when we were going through college, and still probably today, there's all this thing about the death of painting. It's this kind of shibboleth that keeps on being flogged around the art world or whatever. It's always an issue, and the idea of a whale dying on the beach seems to be allegorical of that, and nicely fits in there. Or the idea of the death of any kind of ideology, like the unravelling of free market capitalism, politics, everything. So I don't mind it taking on, whether it's pretentious or arrogant or it's complete hubris to take on the idea of representing such an idea. Fair enough, it kind of does. It can represent, I think it's brilliant because it's the kind of subject that you can project all these things onto. And at the same time, hopefully they'll just be really good paintings of a whale expiring on a beach. There's a lot in there. There's landscape in there.
Yeah.
There's all tangents it can go off. I can concentrate on for a while. There's figures. There's loads of figures there. There's people.
Because let's say that
there's figurative studies to be done.
Yeah, there's an analysis of painting. Painting is either a figure or a landscape.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
Figure and ground.
Yeah. But a whale is both.
Totally.
Simultaneously. It's so big.
It's a geography in and of itself. There's a topography of its skin and its form. And then the images in this, they basically do an autopsy on it, and it's incredibly, literally visceral imagery when the viscera tumbles out.
Yeah.
And it's being collected in a JCB.
Yeah.
And there's an epic scale there. There's also...
The bucket in a bucket of the JCB is a bucket full of guts.
Totally.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of just regular looking people standing around.
Yeah.
And in most of the stills I've been working from, I do a lot of figure studies recently, just trying to get the way people are standing around.
Crazy.
Barely even looking at the thing. They're checking their phones and stuff.
If it was a cow.
Yeah.
If it was a cow and some lad came along, sliced open its guts, and its guts came out and they started scooping it up in a shovel, they'd be covering their kids' eyes.
Yeah.
But because it's a whale and it's so big, it's not what it is.
Yeah, it's more than what it is.
What it is Gulliver and Gulliver's Travels on the fucking beach, and with all these little bollockses crawling all over it.
And there is pictures of
it's like
kids.
A nightmare.
There is pictures of kids and all climbing.
Yeah, and they have no value of that. This crazy.
So all of these things, and it's still, and I took my time with it, I'm taking my time with it because I kind of had this confidence that it's a long burning idea and I don't want to exhaust it too quickly. And I want to take my time in it to make sure it's not a fast burnout idea. So it is. It's still consistently interesting.